All right, so if you haven't read the news or you don't pay attention to gaming news, this is very important for you to understand. So, if you didn't know, there's been a mass wave of layoffs at multiple game studios. We're talking affecting thousands of people, and the big one that came out was Microsoft because Microsoft just acquired Blizzard, Activision Blizzard. And if you don't know gaming, those are very big publishing houses. Activision Blizzard does a game called World of Warcraft. That's one of the flagship titles. That's mainly Blizzard, and Activision does a lot of other titles. Activision's been around for a very long time. They were at the very beginning of gaming as it is. And so another stat for you, because a lot of people don't know this, is that the gaming industry is bigger than the film industry. There are more people who partake in playing games and spending money in games than there are people who watch movies. Let that sink in for a minute. That means that if you go to a theater and it's packed, like you went to go see a showing of something and it's packed, a game, a AAA title, will pull in more people than that showing will, or the entire run of that movie will, including sales of DVDs, Blu-rays, stuff like that. It's huge, okay? And it's not one of those things like games are so massively expensive to produce that it's just cost prohibitive and they're taking a loss. That has not been the case. Now, we can argue the points back and forth about how game studios make bad decisions, but even with that, these studios can afford to gamble on bad decisions and still make AAA titles that a good portion of people like. Like, even if a game is considered horrible, there's still a niche group of people that enjoy that horrible game. So when studios cancel it, usually the decision is based on something financial they're making, and it's not always rooted in good financial decisions, right? To give you an example, let's say the Barbie movie was going to come out and they determined that it's going to cost them, $100 million to make the movie. I don't have the Barbie number movies, but it's going to cost them $100 million to make the movie. And they expect, enough people to watch that movie. It's going to make $300 million, right? Really small numbers there. So in film, they don't do that. They will just make the movie and then they'll call it a flop if it doesn't make the money back. Gaming industry, they'll make a game and they expect it to make X amount of dollars, and they also expect microtransactions. That'd be the same as if you went to go see a movie in the theater, and they not only expected you to buy a ticket, but to buy popcorn and a soda. And if you were not going to buy a popcorn and soda, they're going to cancel that movie midway through running. Let's say that they determined that an auditorium was going to hold 30 people or 300 people, and only 100 showed up. You start watching the movie, they would just cut the movie because not enough people showed up. That's how it works in games. You have these games that are live service. For those of you who don't know, that means you have to be online to play them, even if it's a solo player game. Now, in saying all this, I still love playing games. There are still a lot of good narratives out there that people should be enjoying. If you don't play games, please find a friend or a family member who has a console. Let them set you up an account and play a game they recommend. Play something good. I'm not talking like Fortnite. Those are fun games, but I'm talking like narrative-driven stories like The Last of Us and stuff. Go play those games and enjoy the story in them. Go experience those and experience tons of them because it's lots of entertainment. You can break it up. You get immersed in those more so than you can movies. Now, the layoffs were one thing. And to touch on that, a lot of people were talking about how this may be a good thing, just, pruning off some of the stuff, thinning the herd out of game developers. This could be great. It's going to make these smaller studios much bigger. It won't. Smaller studios don't have the funding to make great titles. Some make gems. Some make beautiful games and they're awesome. But indie games are still problematic for multiple reasons. Those are hard industries. Some of those development companies have problems making good games. They lack some of the tools that bigger companies have. That's just a fact of it. I've enjoyed a lot of indie games. I do love indie gaming. Pardon me. But they're lacking some of what's needed to make a good AAA title. And that's not to say they can't make those. They just have a harder time. The issue here is greed, as it always been, and not with the indies, but with the bigger companies. They didn't need to cut these jobs. On the heels of that, for you, those of you who have been talking about, physical media, and those of you who don't understand the need for physical media, gaming is doing that. Microsoft fired their entire physical media department, if you didn't know that. And that means that going forward, a lot of games are going to be digital only. And on just a lighter complaint, I don't believe in paying $60 for a digital-only piece of software. I don't want to pay those prices. In my opinion, this is going to increase piracy. One, people are not going to like that. They're also going to want to have a copy of that to use. So I would expect the next wave in the piracy scope of things is going to be people getting digital copies that you can download. They're going to find a way to extract the files. They will do that. The installers for consoles, for PC games. And then additionally, what's going to happen, and I say this because we've already seen it on PC, right? A lot of people don't buy physical copies of games for PC anymore. They get digital ones. And then we start seeing cracks that come out for those games that allow you to run them offline or to run them without DRM. So consoles are going to be next in that. And I know these companies are like, oh, we'll lock it down. You guys, they've never been able to. There's always been something. So yes, the games are humongous. But in that storage, the people will find a way to work on the storage portion of it, and we're going to see that go through. But the death of physical media and consoles, Microsoft has been trying to push for a while now this digital-only console, which I'm not a fan of. I like having a disk drive for multiple reasons. They'll claim it's always for piracy issues. It's not. I think Microsoft is like second in line to be the next trillion-dollar company, but they're laying people off and they're getting rid of their physical media department. Physical media costs to make, it does, but people pay up for it. People do pay up for physical media. So this is more of an issue to pinch the customer. They don't want you owning products anymore, because if you own them, you don't have to keep buying them. And they want you to keep buying them. They want you to pay a subscription model. Game Pass loses money for Microsoft. That's been a fact. But it hooks people in, because if you're in the middle of a game, and if you guys don't know this, if you don't know how this game works, if you're in the middle of a $60 AAA title that you've got essentially for free because you're paying for Game Pass, and then they decide it's going to remove from Game Pass, you are more than 3 times likely, this is from Microsoft's own internal studying of things, you are more than 3 times likely to shell over the $60 to buy that title. Not to mention FOMO. They'll discount the game for purchase during its run on Game Pass, and then from there, they'll jack the price back up when they remove it from Game Pass. So there's a reason why it is the games are on sale while they're on Game Pass, because they know you're not going to buy them and you're going to expect that price tag to be $20 or $40. And then they jack the price back up, and now you have FOMO. Oh, I don't want to come back to this game later. What if I miss something? And that's what they do. Gaming is a little bit different than the film industry and how they can do things and how they can rip people that way. So I'm not sure how we fix this. I'm not sure what we do, because I don't think boycotting the traditional sense is going to help. We can't just stop playing certain games. Maybe if we don't buy digital only, but unfortunately there are too many people who play games that are ignorant to this, or who are just arrogant. For example, Dying Light 2 put in microtransactions, something they said they weren't going to do, and then they started doing predatory practice in buying, and there were more people who either didn't care or decided to just on purpose buy crap anyway, just to spite people who were against it. So they know this. The gaming company knows there's too much infighting, that they can kind of do what they want, and nobody's going to say anything about it. So I'm not sure how we handle this or how we fix it. Let me know what you think and what you think we should do. I'd be glad to form kind of a plan of attack on this to see if we could coordinate people. I'm just worried it's not going to be effective enough. There are still titles I want to play on a Series X. I don't own an Xbox Series X. I don't have the money to get a console, and with the console shortage, that created problems. So I've had to miss out on some stuff, but I have a backlog, and as many gamers have said, a lot of us have a backlog of games we haven't finished or that we need to play a second time to enjoy. So I very much am, leveraging my older game library, but I do have some concerns. And I'll throw this out there for money, looking at this. I think there's a reality where Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be a digital only with heavy microtransactions. I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be a tipping point in gaming. We'll see where that goes, but I do have some concerns about where Rockstar is going to take GTA 6 and what it's going to do to the gaming industry as a whole. I do think that with this whole layoffs portion of things for all the industries, that we're going to see the gaming market tank. I think we're going to see narratives become cheaper. We're going to see a lot of cash grabs. The artistic portion is being removed. Never mind AI. AI is not even the problem at this point. That may factor in, but we're going to see a lack of talent, and we're going to see games just kind of nosedive in quality. There's no way around that, in my opinion, because they're going to get people they're going to pay cheaper if they replace them at all. So these teams are going to be strained. It's going to be a problem. Anyway, guys, as I'm running out of time, because I don't want to make this 2 parts, let me know what you think and what you think the future of gaming is going to look like. What do you think 2024 is going to look like?